I might have gone a little ham on yarn, but it's a tax write-off, so. Hey everybody, it's Katie, the Celestial Homebody, and happy very snowy day. Well, I don't know if it's snowy for you, but for us here in Indiana, it snowed for the first time of the season of the year today, and I am so ecstatic about it. Fortunately, I can't really go out in it because my knee is still an issue. We're going to talk about that at the end of the video. We have a lot of fun stuff to talk about today. First and foremost, I have a gigantic box of yarn sitting next to me that is busting at the seams, that we're going to do a little haul, a big haul of yarn for you today, including some yarns that I have not tried before from Premier. And then I'm going to show you what I made this past week, and then we'll talk a little bit about the market that I had yesterday, and then end today with some personal updates. So for those of you who are interested in my personal life, you can stick around till the end of the video, but I gotta show you the inside of this box, you guys, because it's bursting. Hang on. It is packed full. That's what she said. So right now, I believe through November 15th, Premier is doing like a site-wide yarn sale. Unfortunately, as an amigurumi crocheter who uses mostly like the plush stuff, none of the yarn that I use is on sale. I was really hoping that like Parfait Chunky, Parfait Plush, the Chenille Brights, all of that would be on sale, and unfortunately it's not. So I have been putting off buying yarn and placing an order because I was waiting for that big sale, and I was kind of let down when I found that all of the yarn that I wanted to buy was all regular price. So I know that it doesn't look like it, but I promise that I am very low on yarn colors. I'm running into the issue right now where I have a bunch of different brands and only like partial skeins of each brand and each color, so I can't mix them. So brown especially, I am so low on brown yarn. You can see up there, I really needed some of that caramel color in the Premier Chenille Basics Brights, but they have been sold out of it for a few weeks, and it unfortunately was not back in stock. So I have been making a list on my phone. Every time I run out of a color, I put it on the list to purchase. So I ended up purchasing everything on my list that I had except for that Caramel Premier Basics Brights. That is a mouthful. We're just going to call it Basics Brights. Oh, somebody just bought a pattern from me. Oh, yay, Jamie. Thank you, Jamie. Anyways, so this ended up being about $200 in yarn in my order, but like I said, I was very low, so this is going to restock me and get me through probably until the end of the year, hopefully, with the exception of that caramel color. I really got to get my grubby little paws on that. So I guess let's dig in here. There are some things that I have not purchased before in here, as well as some things that I rarely purchase, but I just felt like, you know what? Since I'm placing the order, I might as well get it. For example, this Parfait I just said chonky. Parfait Chunky Pom Pom. This is the color Neon Nights. And I just used up my very last of this, making my Day of the Dead dragon, if you remember that a few weeks ago. This Parfait Pom Pom is a lot more expensive than regular Parfait Chunky, and by a lot, I mean it's like $2 more for the skein, but you also get less yarn in the skein. And it's kind of cool how it's made though, because it's one solid strand of like Parfait Chunky and black for this color, and then there is like a little thread with little mini pom-poms on it to give it like the neon pom-pom look. I really like all of the colors in the pom-pom, but I did not go crazy buying all of the colorways because, like I mentioned, this is really expensive. And I don't know, for something like this, I like to use this for accents. So for my Day of the Dead dragon, I just used it for like the wings and the little accents. I did make my pattern of my little baby Nyx the dragon out of this before, and it sold the first market that I took it to. I gave it white pupil eyes. It looked very cool, like creepy, cute, and cool. So I just wanted to have more of this in my stash because I do love the colors in it, especially with some of these other Premier Basics Brights colors, like the neon violet, whatever that's called, the tangerine, the key lime. All of those colors go so well with this. So anyways, how long can I talk about the Parfait Chunky Pom Pom? I don't know. But I got one skein of that and one skein only. Then I got a couple colors of this Little Bunny, and I have never used Little Bunny before that I know of. It seems very similar to the Burnout Pipsqueak, which I have used before. This might be a little bit thicker than the Burnout Pipsqueak though, but I really like that it has like a fur look to it, but it isn't fur. It is like, how do I put this? It's just like little strands of yarn, little strands of thread. It's not actual fur. And I like that because fur is a nightmare to sew with, to crochet with, because you can't see what the heck you're doing. You're just flying by the seat of your pants blindly. So I did get a couple colors in this because I figured that if I ever want to do accents on things that are made to look like fur, I can use this. And I also really like that they have some fun colors in this. So I got black just to have, you know, a neutral. I also got this color. This is called Seaside, and this is a really just vibrant blue, almost more of a teal than a true blue. But I thought that the color was pretty. I don't know what I'm going to use this on. I don't have anything in mind for it, but I don't know. I just in my Halloween video that I posted 2 Fridays ago, last Friday, I don't remember, 2 Fridays ago, I was talking about how I have very few fur or fur-like yarns and color options. So when I do want to do accents on things, I'm very limited in color choices. So I did get a couple of colors that I thought I could maybe use. I don't know. We'll see. I also got 2 of this brown color. This is called Teddy Bear, and I got these specifically for a pattern that I am writing currently. I'll talk a little more about that later, about the pattern series that I'm writing, because I have a bunch to show you guys today of the patterns in that series. It's called the Snuggle Sprites collection, but I got these specifically for one of the Snuggle Sprites that I'm going to be writing the pattern for in the next couple weeks. So 2 teddy bears. I also got one, this is cream. Ooh, this one doesn't feel super great. I mean, it doesn't feel awful, but it's not nearly as soft. Did you see me finger it? Really had to get in there, scrape it out like the inside of a pumpkin, you know, make sure that the quality is there. It's a little rougher than the others, but I already have white fur and white Burnout Pipsqueak, so I thought that a cream would be nice to have because it's another neutral. This one's really soft. This is the Little Bunny in Cotton Candy. That is so precious. I could totally see this on like a unicorn, like for the hair or something like that. I will definitely find a use for that. And then finally in the Little Bunny, we got one more neutral, and this one is not super great quality either. It seems really flat. Like, look at how flat it is. It's so hit or miss, you guys. This is the color Toffee, and this one is different than the caramel. The caramel, oh, not caramel. What was this? Teddy Bear. Teddy Bear is so incredibly soft. Toffee is not, and they are different shades of brown, but do you see how much flatter this one is? And then this one's a lot fluffier. Yeah, this one's got a little bit of that shiny like sheen that's not super pleasant on it. But that was all I got in terms of little bunnies. So I'm very excited to dive into those. I need to start thinking of some projects that I can specifically use fur accents on. I don't know that I want to do like an entire plushie in that. Number one, because it's pretty thin. Like I would use probably like a 4mm hook with this because it's literally just a strand with some fluff on it. So it would turn out very small. So if I were to use this on a full project, I would probably double strand it. And I believe, yeah, I have a color of Big Twist Baby Bear that is a very similar shade to this. So if I was going to do a whole plushie out of this, I would double strand it with like a size 4 yarn. And then that way it would come out like the same size as my normal size 5 yarn makes. And I use a 6.5mm hook with most of my yarn, like the chenille brights and all that stuff, if you're wondering. But yeah, that was all the little bunny. And then we have one lone skein of Parfait Chunky. I believe this is the only color of Parfait Chunky that I got. And that is the color Rock Candy. So this is one of their new colors. That is a beautiful blue. And I don't really have anything that is this color blue in my stash. I'm just looking over here at my blues. The closest thing that I have to this color is the Chenille Home Slim blue. And I want to say it had a weird name. Was it Petrol Blue? Maybe not. It wasn't Country Blue. I don't know, but I know I got it from Michaels. It's a Loops and Threads brand, but this is a lot more saturated and a tad bit darker. So this is a really unique, really pretty shade of blue. I figured that I could use this to make blue chickens. My Stardew Valley blue chickens, they tend to sell really well for me at markets, especially at conventions. The chicken pattern that I wrote, I specifically had the blue chicken from Stardew Valley in mind when I wrote that. Unfortunately, I have not been able to get my paws on some more of that blue yarn from Michaels to make those blue chickens. And, I said that the only thing that I wasn't able to get from Premier was the caramel color basic sprites, but that's a lie. I also had on my list to purchase some of their new Parfait plush in that blue color. It is a little bit lighter than this and a little bit duller of a color, but it is near identical to the Michaels blue. And so I really wanted to get a few skeins of that to make blue chickens, but when I saw that color was sold out too, then I went ahead over to Parfait Chunky and then got this really pretty new Rock Candy color. I really appreciate how my voice just got really high there. Did you hear that? Oh my goodness. I just turned into a prepubescent boy there for a minute. But anyways, I really appreciate how Parfait Chunky continues to come out with new colors. I only wish that they would be able to keep up with stock, because I feel like whenever I go to Premier's website, something that I need is sold out. And that's really unfortunate. But anywho, one lone skein of Parfait Chunky. Now we have a ton of the Chenille Brights. So right on top here, we have this color, which is called Seafoam. This is a really pretty color, but this skein does not feel good. This is unfortunate. It is incredibly starchy. I am not going to want to work with this because it's going to hurt my hands and squeak on the hook. And I don't know if there's any crocheter's worst nightmare than squeaking yarn. Ugh. So I'm going to set this aside. The good thing about Premier is that they're generally really good with customer service. So I'm going to set this aside and let them know that it was not good quality, and I will send it back and hopefully get a replacement or a refund on it. But the good news is that these couple colors, or these couple skeins in the color Fog, these both feel nice. So these are just a neutral gray yarn. I don't use gray a ton, but I went to make a mouse the other day and I was looking through my grays and I was like, all of those are different colors and different brands, and I do not have enough of one color gray to make as big of a mouse as I was making, which was one of the patterns that I designed, spoiler alert. So I made sure to get a couple different color grays in my Premier order. So I got 2 Fog. I don't see any more grays on top here, so we'll dig through and come up with more later. We have 1 skein of steel cut oats on top. Now I know that I ordered more of these, so for whatever reason, this one is the Lone Ranger and somehow ran away from its family, because the other like 4 skeins of this that I got have to be somewhere else in the box. But this is the color Steel Cut Oats. It's a really pretty neutral medium brown, and this skein is particularly soft, which I'm very pleased with because this is a color that I use often. Next up, I love this color. This is Caribbean. Depending on the context, I pronounce it different ways. But this is a very vibrant, saturated teal color. I use this whenever I make Perry the platypi, platypuses, whatever. I don't like saying platypuses. It sounds dirty. And nobody on earth has a more innocent mind than moi. So I can't say platypuses because that sounds too dirty. So this is a really unique shade of teal that I have not seen any other yarn brand have something that is even comparable to this. So I got 1 skein. I do have 1 full skein still in my stash, so I didn't go crazy getting these. But I don't really use those that often. Really, I just use it when I make a Perry. And then occasionally I'll use it for accents on things, but since it is such a bright, bold color, I have to be in a very specific mood and be working on a very specific project to pull out that color. Then we have this color, which is Banana. I had to say it like a minion. B-A-N-A-N-A-S. Anybody else learn how to spell bananas from that song? This yellow color, so I'm confused. Did the Basics Brights used to have a different name for their yellow? Did it used to be called Sunshine, or is that just Parfait Chunky? Because I have a skein of Premier Basics Brights yellow. It's that one right there that I'm pointing at. And I swear it looks the same, but I don't ever remember it being called Banana. It was either called Daffodil or Sunshine, but I could be mixing it up with the Parfait Chunky. But anyways, it's a nice bright yellow. It's actually coming off a lot brighter on camera than it is IRL, but I just got 1 skein of this. At least I think I just got 1 skein because I do have a full other skein back there. This is a new color to me that I have never purchased before. I don't know if this is new or if I just haven't bought it yet, but this is the color Peach. Oh, somebody else just bought a pattern. Therese, thank you so much for buying the Blossom the Bunny pattern. I hope I pronounced your name right if you're watching this video. I was reading sideways. But anyways, this is the color Peach. And as expected, it is the color Peach. Not very creative with the name, but I guess you don't want to go too creative with the name because then people like me who don't remember names to save their life have even less of a option, or even less of a chance of remembering what the name is if it's something completely unrelated. Big Twist did that, like with all of their Big Twist Posh colors. Like it was always something random, like the purple was called Smoothie Bowl. Isn't it ironic though that I remembered that one, but I don't remember like these names? when these are the most basic ones. I don't know. Anywho, 2 peaches, and those both feel really nice. Okay, now we're getting into the part of the box that has them all protected. We've got protection around here. We don't need these little skeins of yarn multiplying. Actually, we do. Can we forego the protection, Premier, so that I do have little multiplying skeins of yarn, please? All right, next up in this little bag, we have 1 skein of blush. I actually just finished up my very last little bit of the Basics Brights plush, not plush, what is going on in my mind? Basics Brights blush with a B, like my cup size in high school. So I only got 1 skein of this, and I probably should have gotten another one. When I placed this order, I still had a full skein of the blush, and then I used it on something that I have to show you today. So I should have gotten 2 skeins of this. Oopsie. Then we got 2 skeins. I'm just putting these on my fingers like they're olives and like I'm 5 at Thanksgiving dinner. This is the color Denim. Yes? I remembered that. I didn't even look at the band. Yay me. This is the color Denim. I got 2 skeins of this. I have a partial skein still. I have only ever in my life purchased 1 skein of this denim color. I didn't feel like I would use it that often just because it's very muted and a little bit dark for normally what my taste is. But recently, I guess because of winter, fall time, I've been leaning more toward grabbing the darker, more muted tones. So I went ahead and got 2 skeins of this. I mean, this is perfect for like overalls or, you know, anything made of denim. I know that Knotting Hook Crochet Robin uses this color for whenever she's making stitches. You know, like Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. Next up, we have a 3-pack of Periwinkle. Now, this is a color that I've also been using a lot recently. These skeins, I gotta open it to see how they feel. I don't know about these ones, you guys. You look at how flat it is. Look, you can see. And it's not because it was in the bag, because all the other ones that I've shown you were also in bags. I just took them out before holding them up to the camera. But you can just see visually how flat this yarn is. That is an indication that it does not feel great. And unfortunately, all 3 in this bag do not feel great. So I will include that in my message to Premier Customer Service. It's always hit or miss, you know? All right, next up. Oh, this looks like it's going to be soft. I hope so. I hope that my eyes do not deceive me and that it is as soft as it looks. So here we have a 3-pack of the color Cotton Candy. Oh yeah, that's soft. Oh yeah, I could finger that one all day. That's nice. So this is Cotton Candy. Like I said, I got 3 of these because light pink is something that I do tend to gravitate toward a lot as somebody who has pastel as their favorite color. This is something that calls to me. So 3 of those. Now we have, these are a couple of neutrals. Okay, so this is a color that I've actually never had in the Basics Brights, which is weird because it's a neutral. And I feel like if you're going to, you know, get any yarn in an order, it should be neutral, since that's typically what we tend to gravitate toward as amigurumi crocheters, especially if you're drawn to like the more realistic animals. So I got 3 skeins of this color, which is chocolate, and it is just dark brown. This one is like medium softness. It's definitely workable with, but it's not as soft as the pink one was. But it's definitely usable, and it is very fluffy and soft. So 3 of these. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit them all in my brown storage. Actually, come to think of it, I don't know that I'm going to really be able to fit any of this in my yarn storage in this room anyways, until we get the she shed, which update on that at the end of the video. Then we got more of that steel cut oats. That's what this is, right? Yes. So 3 more steel cut oats. Like I said, 1 was just separated. So I got 4 total, I believe, which is good. I honestly probably could have gotten like 6 of these and I would have gone through them. Because it is a neutral and I do use it frequently. Then we got 1 skein of this color Rust. No, we got more than that. Oh yeah, okay. We got a 3-pack of Rust and 1 extra, so we got 4. And every single time I get skeins of Rust, it is extra soft. I don't know what it is about this color, something in the dye maybe, but the Rust color and the ultraviolet or the neon purple, whatever the name is, which I did not get in this order, but I've talked about before on the channel. Those 2 colors in this line from this brand are extraordinarily soft. So I don't know what that's about, but I'm not complaining. I'm not looking a gift horse in the mouth. I don't never know if I'm saying that right. that saying, but I don't know. I think it's look a gift horse in the mouth, right? So is Premier the gift horse and I don't want to look it in the mouth? Why don't you want to look a horse in the mouth? Are they going to spit on you? No, that's camels. I don't know. So anyways, 4 of the Rust, and then we got 2 more skeins of gray, but this time it is a darker gray, and this is the color, oh, I hate this word, pewter. Is that not like the most awful word? Some people, like one of my friends in middle school and high school, her word that she hated people saying was milk. Specifically, if you said it like milk, hated it. And so I used to say it all the time just to bother her. For me, that word is pewter. Gross. Oh, hi, Jovi. Oh, little JoJo's here to say hi. Anyway, so 2 skeins of dark gray to add to my collection. Then we got 3 skeins of red, and this color is called Poppy. This is soft, but this skein feels very dense. I wonder if there's more yarn on this. I don't know. It's very dense, but it is nice and soft. This is a very vibrant red, and let me tell you how ecstatic I was when Premier released this poppy color in this line, because they had this color in Parfait Chunky, which is a much smaller yarn, and people asked me all the time if there is a bright red yarn that came in a size like 5 or 4 or 5, whatever the classification is. What is this official classification? I don't know if it says. Does it say? I don't know. Oh, 6. I'm sorry. Size 6. Parfait Chunky, I always call it a 5 because it's technically classified as a 6, but it is so incredibly thin. And I think anybody who considers Parfait Chunky a size 5 yarn is tripping, okay? Hold that up to something like this, or the Parfait Plush, that is also considered a 6. So hold those 2 together. Those are not the same yarn weights. I don't know how they come up with the yarn weights. But anyways, I digress. My mind is all over the place, if you couldn't tell. The hamster was running on the wheel and then it got distracted by a carrot, whatever hamsters eat. But anyway, so many people asked me if there was a chunky yarn in bright red, and I could not find one anywhere. For a while, Michaels was carrying the Chenille Home Slim in the color Rhubarb, which was like a dark ruby red, and that was really the closest that we could get to having a chunky yarn in red until they released this poppy color, and I'm so happy about it. So I got 3 skeins of it. Elise Voluto also now carries a red color that is bright, but it's not as bright as this. So this is fantastic, especially for Halloween time, BL00D. This is perfect for that. So 3 skeins of Poppy. Next up, we have a very fun, very bright color. Ooh, and these skeins are soft too. We have 3 of this color called Tangerine. Fun fact about my husband, Ryan. Bright orange and bright yellow are his favorite colors. The more urine yellow it is, the more he likes it. The more traffic cone orange it is, the more he likes it. So this tangerine orange is probably going to be commandeered by him. I don't know what he's going to make with it, but I'm sure the second he sees this video, since he does watch all of my videos when I post them, he's so sweet, he's going to run up here and steal some of these skeins to make something. But these are very good quality, very soft skeins of the tangerine color, and those are bright. Also bright, which, you know what? I keep saying these are bright, but I forget that the name of this line is literally Basic Chenille Brights. But this is the color Kiwi. Earlier I said Key Lime. Oh, wait, no. Key Lime is Parfait Chunky. Kiwi is Chenille Basics Brights. So I got 3 skeins of this kiwi color. The last time I had to order this was actually last winter. I bought some of this to make some little mini Grinches with, and I ended up using like all of them. Not all of them. I had like a skein and a half left, and over the course of the past year, I have used so little green that I still have, like, I don't know, a couple of yards left of this kiwi, not even like a quarter of a skein left. So I went ahead and got 3. I'm probably going to work through it slowly and not, you know, go through this crazy fast. But I am happy to finally have some of this color back in my collection, because I was actually thinking about using this specific color for one of my new patterns that we'll talk about now, because that, my friends, is all of the yarn that I got. I don't know how many skeins that was, but it was a lot. Hi, Jovi. Do you want to say hi to the people? Come here. Oh, here's Jovi. This is my little Maltese Shih Tzu. Her name is Jovi with a V, named after the Zooey Deschanel's character in the movie Elf, because her birthday's in December, and so I figured we should name her after a Christmas movie character. So this is Jovi. You don't see her very often, because normally Paisley, the golden doodle, is the one that's in here with me, but Jovi wanted to come spend some time with me today. She's my little cuddly baby. This one is my spirit animal. She hates people. I don't hate people. She prefers to be alone and stay home. Oh, we just got another order. Oh my gosh, that one was on Shopify. Thank you to whoever that was who just bought 2 patterns from my online shop. All right, we're going to put you down, Joey, so that I can show people the stuffed critters. So, you guys, I am so incredibly proud of and excited for this collection of patterns. So please bear with me and watch this part of the video, because I hope that my passion for crochet and pattern creator comes through to you guys, and hopefully gives you some creative juices if you've been stuck in a creative rut, not knowing what to make, or having too many things on your to-do list before Christmas markets and everything. Hopefully I can ground you a little bit, you know, and just in my own passion. So, was it last week? Yes. Last week I showed you guys the 2 very first critters in my Snuggle Sprites collection, and that was Faye the Fawn and Blossom the Bunny. So these 2 patterns are officially out for purchase, so you can get them on my website or on Etsy. And when I've been mentioning patterns that have been sold, it has been one of these 2. So let me tell you a little bit about the Snuggle Sprites collection and why I wanted to design these. So, as you can tell, they have a very unique body shape, and that was on purpose. So these are obviously animals, a deer or a fawn and a bunny. And I wanted them to be very snuggleable because these are specifically designed to be for small children. Now, of course, you could put safety eyes in them and not make them be for small children. But I wanted to do embroidery on all of them. And a bunny, for example, there are some really, really stinking cute bunny patterns out there that are very realistic. But if it's a realistic bunny, then normally it's like sitting, with like its hind legs up. I've made a couple of bunnies here on the channel before, so maybe you're picturing one of my past bunnies, not my patterns, but ones that I've made before, where like they're sitting with their back hind legs bent and their ears up, and they look so precious, but they're not super snuggly. Something like that I kind of consider more of a display piece, like for a nursery or something like that. So when I figured that I wanted to design a whole collection of animals, I decided to make them anthropomorphic, where they kind of have more human-like characteristics. So I designed a pattern that is characterized by the critters or the sprites in the Snuggle Sprites having very long legs and then a sweet little heart-shaped body. And the reason that is because I want it to be huggable for little kids to wrap their arms right underneath, and it's like their little Snuggle Sprites are giving them a hug back. So I went through a lot of trial and error with designing the body shape to get it to be where they've got like those Kim Kardashian hips and a sweet little like belly patch and booty, but they come in and get snatched right under the arms for that huggable cuddleability. I just combined those two words and said hubbable. What did I say? I don't even remember now. It was too long ago. 5 seconds was too long ago. But anyway, so these first two patterns, these first two sprites were in testing a few weeks ago. So they're officially out if you want to snag them. The flower crown is not included. I made this for Celeste when I was pregnant with her, and I just like to put them on here because I just think that they look cute, I am going to make another Faye the Fawn with a red nose to make it like Rudolph for my next Christmas market, my next holiday market. By the way, so Faye the Fawn is low sew. The only thing that you have to sew on is the ears. And I did it that way because with everybody's different tension and whatnot, I didn't want to crochet them into the round and like, I don't know, because the antlers are crocheted in, I wanted to do one or the other crocheted in so that there was less risk of somebody like getting off on their stitches and then their ears and or their horns being misaligned. Since everybody's tension and yarn and hook size is different, that can skew the pattern just a little bit, but all of my testers said that the color changes actually worked out really well for them, and everybody who has tested all of my Snuggle Sprites so far that I'm about to show you have told me that the patterns are very easy to read and very easy to follow. But I will warn you, if you're new to color changes, maybe start with something that doesn't have the color changes, like this bunny. This is Blossom, the bunny. Instead of jumping right into somebody like Faye who has multiple rounds of color changes. So anyway, so she is low sew besides the ears. Blossom the bunny here is technically no sew unless you do want to do the little flower, in which case you do need to sew that on. But her base pattern is completely no sew, and I gave her little scalloped edge overalls. In the pattern, there is an an option to do straight legs like what Faye had, or scalloped edges around their legs like what Blossom has. And then look at her fluffy little tail. It's so sweet. So I am going to roll the tester photos for Faye the Fawn and Blossom the Bunny right now. So much again to my testers. I know that pattern testing is a huge feat because it requires a lot of time, sometimes frogging out. I know I felt so bad because one of my testers used parfait, I think a Chenille Home Slim or Sweet Snuggles from Loops and Threads at Michael's, and she had to frog it because I made a mistake in the pattern, and she was like, I don't know how this is gonna go, because if you've ever tried to rip out that yarn, it just is a nightmare. It just sheds off the string, and I felt so bad. So thank you again to all of my testers who tested those. Now I'm going to talk to you about two that are currently in testing, but by the time you see this video, I think I'm going to have the patterns released just without all of the tester photos in yet. So the next two is going to be Finnegan the Fox. This is Finnegan the Fox and Maisie the Mouse. And here is Maisie the little ballerina mouse. So let's talk about Maisie first. At first glance, she might remind you of a very specific book character, and that was a little bit intentional. Angelina Ballerina is a book that is very near and dear to my heart, specifically in regard to Celeste. That is a book that I read to her all of the time when she was in utero, and so it's just... Angelina is just so precious. Now, Angelina Ballerina is a white mouse, and I made Maisie the Mouse gray. So this pattern is only a little bit different than all of the other Snuggle Sprites because she has a skirt, but the actual shape of her body is the same. But instead of having overalls, you do a round of back loop only, so that you leave the front loops to surface crochet the skirt on later. And this actually is a completely no-sew pattern. So the one thing to mention though is that the bow is not in the pattern. This was something that I just decided to add afterward just because I thought it was cute, and literally all I did was chain a bunch and then sew it onto the top of the head. I mean, it's not super difficult to figure out if you wanted to get the Maisie pattern and then add your own bow. But this pattern is I would say probably 30 to 45 minutes longer than all of the other Snuggle Sprites because of the tutu. These are all double crochets, and this is a little ways away around her waist here. Now, I am not one to be talking about the width of a waist, but when you are doing double crochet increases all the way around, it does take a hot minute. The good news is that it's pretty mindless. So like while I was doing it, I was watching TV and I was just kind of zoning out, and it was chill and it was all good. So Maisie, like I said, is a no-sew pattern, but it is optional if you want to embroider the little like ballet ties around her little feet here. Her ears are gigantic, and I asked the pattern testers if they thought that her ears were too big, and they all said that they really liked the size of her ears. So if you get this pattern and you want to make them smaller, you can just leave out around the last round. But I personally think that it's the giant ears that really make her adorable, because mice have big ears. Mice IRL are so freaking cute, by the way. They are so cute. So my pattern testers are currently working on Maisie. So unfortunately, at this moment in time, I don't have pictures to show you, but I will show you in an upcoming video. And y'all, wait until you see what the pattern testers have done. I told them, follow the base pattern, but feel free to use like your own colors and put your own creative spin on it. So I have some testers that are making it look like Animal Crossing characters and like the mice. I have somebody who is doing a Gus Gus mouse from Cinderella. I have a few testers who are doing Christmas mice. So speaking of that, I actually did a Christmas Maisie. So this is the exact same pattern. All I did was switch the colors to modify it to be a little nutcracker mouse. So this coloring was not fully my idea. I saw somebody post the Brie the Mouse pattern. It's in the Fable collection by Oak and Marlowe. It wasn't Oak and Marlowe who posted it on Instagram, but it was somebody who was using that mouse pattern and then modified it to be a little nutcracker, and I just thought it was precious. So I decided to take my Maisie the Mouse pattern and do a similar coloring to make it a nutcracker mouse. And fun fact, the Nutcracker is one of my favorite, I mean, it is my favorite ballet, but like one of my favorite movies. Oh my gosh, Ashley, thank you so much for buying Faye the Fawn and Blossom the Bunny patterns. But anyways, I freaking love the Nutcracker. For the past 3 years since we have lived in this house, the Nutcracker has been our Christmas theme. So I have pillows and like tree ornaments and everything that are like the Mouse King or the Rat King, whatever. The Mouse King, the ballerina, the fairy, I freaking love it. Clara. Clara was in the running to be Celeste's name for a hot minute after the Nutcracker. But anyways, so this is all chenille brights with the exception of the actual fur tone. I was going to say skin tone, but that sounds weird to me to call this skin. If the fur tone is Elise Voluto in like a mushroom color, and then everything else is that Chenille Basics brights. So we've got the blush here. This is like their darker red color, not the poppy that I was talking about. Black, and then this is mustard, but I feel like in this context it definitely lends more gold looking, which is what I was going for. So I just freehanded the crown and it doesn't look fantastic. I also sewed it on a little not centered. It's a little too far to the right, but it's handmade. So what are you going to do? Also for this Maisie the Mouse, as you can tell, I did not do the center ear color. And if you get this pattern, you also don't need to do the center ear pattern if you don't want to. So this is one that I wanted to do to take to market with me. I had a market yesterday. I did take it, and spoiler alert, it did not sell. But the market, you're just going to have to wait until next Monday to see how the market went and why I don't think this sold there. But the little buttons on there are, what is that called? French knot. It's a embroidery technique where you wrap the yarn or the embroidery thread around your needle, and then you stick it back through the spot that it came out of, and then those loops around the needle stay on top to form like almost like a little mini bauble on the top. So that's what I did for those. If you did not notice, their noses are a little bit different. This Maisie has a much smaller nose. This one is a little bit bigger. That is because this was my prototype Maisie. After I made her, I decided that her nose was a little bit too small, a little bit too pinched. So I went ahead and modified the pattern to make it a little bit bigger. So another reason why I wanted to make a second Maisie was just that I could see the comparison and make sure that I got the pattern down pat before I put it out for testing. So this little Maisie the Mouse might be available on my website soon, if she does not sell at my next Christmas market. But all of the original Snuggle Sprites are not going to be available. I'm keeping them, and in the Celestial Studio, I would like to have like a shelf where I just display all of them, because I have plans for months of pattern releases for these critters, you guys. Also, I didn't mention, look at how big these things are. These are huge. That's what she said. These take about 2 hours. I had some testers say that it took them 3 hours. I had some that it said that took like a little less than 2 hours. But these are really, really good size. Now, I do use a 6.5 millimeter hook and the Chenille Brights, or yarn that is similar in size, or Elise Veluto, Bernat Blanket. All of those I mix and match and use together, just depending on what colors I have in my stash. But these, I mean, look at how big that is. This for a toddler, it would be, oh my gosh, just so incredibly fun to snuggle with and sleep with. And that is precisely the goal for these. So anyways, that is the mouse. And then the one that I released as her partner is Finnegan the Fox here. This one I feel like would be so precious in a nursery, like a woodland themed nursery. Are you kidding me? Like sitting in a little crib until the baby comes, and then when it's a toddler, it can like just snuggle it. Ah, so sweet. So for Finnegan, I use the Bernat Mystical in the color Canyon, and normally the only other thing that I use in this yarn is loaf cats, orange loaf cats. So I'm happy that I was able to use it for something other than a cat. Although a fox is kind of similar to a cat in a lot of ways, you know, maybe just the ears is what's making me think cat. Speaking of the ears, they do involve color changes. So this is definitely going to be closer to the intermediate crocheter side. This pattern is. And then you also have the color changes on the face as well. But other than that, everything else is pretty straightforward. Even if you're a beginner and know how to do a color change, you could easily do the feet and the arms here with the little blacks. But something like this does involve a little bit more experience, I think. But let me know if you're a beginning crocheter and you decide to get this pattern and try it. Leave me a comment or send me a message on Instagram or an email or something. I'd love to know how it worked for you. This one is really sweet, how puffy his cheeks are. That is on purpose, because foxes typically have like the fur coming out. But instead of doing fur, because I was contemplating maybe doing fur for this one, but as we discussed earlier, that's a nightmare to work with. And especially as I was pattern designing, I needed to be able to count my stitches and see what I was doing. So instead of doing that, I decided to do a special technique that you'll see in the pattern if you purchase it, to help make these little cheeks puff out just a tad. And then I gave him a little black nose here. And then for his overalls, we have this sage green. This is Parfait Plush in sage green. And then his tail is just a sweet little poofy tail. And it says in the pattern, if you want to, you can tack it up like that, or you can leave it hanging down. I decided to leave mine hanging down. Does your tail hang low? Does it wobble to and fro? Can you tie it in a knot? Can you tie it in a bow? Anyways, so Finnegan the Fox is also in testing, and these pattern testers are doing a phenomenal job too. One of them put like a little mushroom on the pocket. It's precious. I cannot wait to share with you guys the tester pictures for both Maisie and Finnegan. So both of these patterns are also available in the description box. So the next two and the last two that I have to show you guys today that I made this week. You guys, this week I have not rested. I have just been cranking out these patterns. because I'm having surgery next week, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes here. But I wrote 4 patterns and made 5 giant plushies just this past week. So I'm very proud of myself with the production that I've been cranking out. So these 2 have yet to go up for testing. So I'm going to take a moment right now to remind you and to let you know that if you are interested in pattern testing for me, you have to be following me over on Instagram at the Celestial Homebody. I'm going to link my Instagram for you in the description box. And then at the end of all of my videos, there's a little QR code in the corner that says like, follow me on Instagram. Just whip out your phone, scan your TV or whatever it is that you're watching, and then that QR code will take you right to my Instagram. So that way you can apply for pattern tests. It's just so much easier for me to handle tests through Instagram. So that's how I do it. So let me introduce you to the 2 newest in the Snuggle Sprites collection. And these 2 are specifically inspired by baby, like nursery, if you will. So the first that we have, this one might be my favorite of all of them so far. This is Lulu the lamb. She is a sweet, sleepy little lamb. Now on yours, you could use safety eyes and have them open eyes, or just have embroidered open eyes, but I decided to make mine sleepy. Now, please ignore the fact that it looks like she had a stroke, because these eyelashes are way lower than these. Excuse that. I didn't have time today before I sat down to film to fix it, but I will be. But anyway, so this is Lulu the lamb. So I know that she looks a little intimidating with all of the bobble stitches, but honestly, I don't think it's that bad. It's a 3 double crochet bobble, and you only have to do it every other round. So, and it's not even the whole thing. It's only half the head. So I did not think that it took me that long. This one I would say took me about as long as Maisie the Mouse did with her skirt edition. Oh, by the way, I didn't say, on the mouse, you don't have to do the skirt. You could do the overalls like all of the other ones and make it a boy mouse. Give him a little cookie and make it like if you give a mouse a cookie. That's another mouse book character that all had us in a chokehold as children. There were a lot of mice book characters that I feel like were icons, that are still icons to this day for kids. Anywho, so Lulu is also completely no-sew. Actually, no, her tail is sewn on, but to be honest with you guys, you could absolutely crochet this in. I just sewed it on so that I can get the placement right. So other than that, she is no-sew. If you want to do the pockets on any of these, you do have to sew them on, but they are functional pockets. Like you could stick stuff in there. I was contemplating making like a little star or a moon for her to hold, because I think that would be so cute for little Lulu here to be holding on to a moon. How sweet would that be? Like, is this not the most perfect little baby shower gift to make and give to somebody? Because it's gender neutral. I ended up using periwinkle on the overalls, but then I used a little bloom yarn for the pocket and for the straps here to give it a little bit of a feminine touch to make my Lulu more feminine and girly. But the periwinkle is very gender neutral too, because it's kind of purple, kind of blue. And you don't have to do the eyelashes if you don't want to. I just think that this one is probably my favorite. And I think Celeste likes this one the best too, because I had them all laying out and she went right over to Lulu and gave her a little snuggle. It was precious. Lulu, by the way, is named after my sister's Prius. Which sounds so ridiculous, but there's a long story to it. But long story short, when we were kids, we had Webkins, you know, like the little plushies that you would buy and then you'd put the code into online and then you could like take care of the plushie virtually. Well, when she was about 7 or 8 years old, we both got Webkinz, and she got one that was a little penguin, and she wanted to name the penguin Lulu. But then when she typed it in, because she was a little kid and didn't know how to spell Lulu, so she spelt it Lolo. And so then I always called it Lolo, and then it pissed her off because she's like, it's Lulu. But I'm like, but you didn't spell it right. You spelt like it Lolo. But anyway, so now all these years later, my sister drives a red Prius, and she named it Lulu, spelled the correct way this time after her Webkinz, so that she had like a second chance at spelling the name correctly. So I thought that Lulu the lamb was just a really cute name, because I'm trying to stick with the alliteration, you know, like the first letter is the same letter as whatever the creature is. And since these are meant for babies, I'm doing all baby animals. So I've got a lamb, a fawn, etc. So Lulu, my favorite. I gave her the little scallop bottoms to her overalls. What else do I want to say about her? I don't know. I think that's about it. She is pretty much all chenille braids except for this bloom, which is from Michaels. But that is Lulu. And then the last one that I made, this is fresh off the hook, I literally just finished this before I sat down to film, is Lulu's partner, because I'm releasing all of the Snuggle Sprays in batches of 2 for testing. So you can either choose to test Lulu or this one, and this is Clover the calf. So this is a little cow, a little baby cow. She is what I like to call a chocolate milk cow, because I used brown instead of black for her accents and her spots. But I don't know, do dairy cows come in brown, or are all dairy cows exclusively black and white? I don't know. We're learning on this episode that I don't know a lot about animals. I did have to look up what like the nose of the cow was called, because like I know on a horse it's a muzzle, so I was curious on if a cow it's also a muzzle, and no, apparently it is just called a nose on a cow, says Google AI. So I don't know how accurate that is. So in the pattern I did put nose. So speaking of her nose, this is a completely no-sew pattern as well. So her nose is all crocheted in. Muzzle, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to be the police, the grammar police, and tell you, don't say muzzle or snout. It's a nose. I don't care. You do you, boo. The color changes on this one are a lot more subdued, especially because really you're only having to color change for the spot here. But when you make the ears, I have you make one in white, one in brown or black, one arm in brown or black, one in white. The tail is crocheted on, so you don't even need to worry about that. All of these little accents are crocheted on. The pouch, of course, you need to sew. And then for the little hoof bottom, so this is actually not a hoof. My intention for this was to make it just like a spot, which is why I chose to do one leg completely white and then one just with a spot. But in the pattern, I do like the hoofs like symmetrical, but I don't know. I just wanted to be unique to my own pattern, I guess. But this is also a color change, but I mean, that's easy. You just change at the end of the round on the last stitch and then be on your merry way. So for this one, this is actually mostly Elise Veluto yarn, and it did come out a little bit smaller than the lamb here. Just a tad bit. I also did mess up on this, and I accidentally decreased too early. So this one has a very snatched waist, and they're all not supposed to be like that. I just didn't want to frog it out and redo it because I needed to sit down and film this video for you guys. So Clover is no-sew, like I said. So Clover and Lulu are going to be up on my Instagram for testing. So go check that out if you're interested in testing them. And if you're watching this in the future, like if you're watching this next week, these patterns will also be out, in which case I will have them linked for you in the description box below. So you guys, that so far, let me see if I can hold all of them. I don't even know if I can, you guys, because they're big. These are big guys. Okay, I can't get Blossom the bunny in here, but oh my gosh, we gotta take a whole group picture. Here so far are all of my snuggle sprites in the collection, and I actually I'm already working on another one. Well, I'm going to when I'm done filming this video, working on another two to release. So now that that's all done, I wanted to just give you guys kind of a life update. For those who have been following along on the channel for a while, you already probably know some of these things that I'm going to say. But for those who are new or have not been able to keep up with the videos, I will let you know here. So let's talk about the video schedule upcoming, because I am having a major gastrointestinal surgery on Wednesday. This surgery has been a long time coming because I was supposed to have it in September and it was delayed for insurance things. So I am going through with it this Wednesday. Last week when I talked to you guys, it was a little dicey and a little up in the air because I had injured my knee. So let me touch on that really quickly and then we'll go back to my Wednesday surgery. So I did do an MRI for my hurt knee. I could not walk. So I was on crutches and in a stabilizer for a few days and could not go up and down stairs freely by myself or anything. So we went in for an MRI and it turns out that I did in fact tear my patellar tendon, which is exactly what the ER doctor thought had happened. Fortunately, though, it was not a complete tear, so it has already started repairing itself. So I'm at the point now where I hobble and I limp and I cannot put my full weight on it, but I can move around. So when I go upstairs, I just go very slowly, one step at a time, but I can move around now. So that was the worry last week because I knew that I had this surgery coming on Wednesday, and my surgeon told me that if I am not able to be mobile and to walk around after surgery, then I can't have it because they're very worried about blood clots after. So they want you to be able to move around and walk. So fortunately, I'm at the point now with my knee where I can walk. However, once I'm recovered from my stomach surgery, I'm going to need to probably do physical therapy to help strengthen my knee back to what it was. And that's probably going to be 2 or 3 times a week. Unfortunately, but the great news is that we do not have to go through with knee surgery, which I was terrified of. I don't know why knee surgery is scarier to me than doing stomach surgery, which I'll talk about right now. And if you are squeamish and don't like medical stuff, do one of these, la, 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 for the next couple minutes, because I'm going to talk to you guys really quickly about what I'm having done, just so that you guys know, like, my recovery and all of that. But I am going to get a little graphic if you don't mind. If you don't like that, then maybe skip ahead a few minutes. So I am having a gastric bypass. Now, this is not just an out of the gate gastric bypass. I've told the story before, so I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I had a gastric sleeve done a few years ago and have had medical complications from it, including severe acid reflux, GERD, whatever you want to call it, that is affecting my esophagus. So what the gastric sleeve did was, it was a weight loss surgery, and it just took out part of my stomach to help restrict portions, which I still do really well with the gastric sleeve in terms of like portion control and all of that. And yes, I know that I'm fat. I did not have the amount of weight loss with that surgery as would normally be expected. And my surgeon said that for some people, it just does not work. Yes, it restricts your portions, but if you just have a naturally slow metabolism, it doesn't do anything to fix that or combat that. So not only did I not have great weight loss with it, but I'm having major complications. So that is why I'm having to have a revision into the gastric bypass. And that is a surgery that does not only restriction, my goodness, can I talk? I can. It restricts how much you can intake, but it also gives your entire metabolism and digestive system like a reboot. So people who did not have success with the sleeve tend to have a lot more success with the bypass. But to be honest with you guys, I'm not doing it for weight loss. I am completely happy with myself and how I look despite the mean comments that I get all the time on YouTube. Like, I don't care. I love myself. My husband loves me the way that I am. My daughter loves me the way that I am. So it's like, it's not for that. For me, it's exclusively for medical reasons and not having to sleep sitting up because of the reflux. But having the potential of weight loss is just a perk. It's just going to be a huge plus, and that's going to be less strain like on my joints and my knees and stuff, especially as I'm recovering from this tendon tear. So for the gastric bypass, what they have to do is essentially cut your entire stomach out. And then they also take out part of your intestines, and then they staple the intestines up to what they call your new pouch. So food does not really sit in your stomach anymore to digest it. So this is a major like internal rewiring of my digestive tract. So the recovery from it is not going to be swift or smooth. I remember when I was recovering from the sleeve, which was a lot less invasive, I was out for 3 weeks. And I remember not even having the energy to pick up like my Switch and play that. Like all I did was sit there like this, watching Game of Thrones. I just binged watched the entire series of Game of Thrones because that's all I had the energy to do, because you have to be on a liquid diet for like a month and a half. So you're not eating a lot of calories. Your body is trying to figure out your metabolism and all that stuff. So I just wanted to keep you guys in the loop just to let you know that in the upcoming weeks, my videos are going to look different. I'm probably not going to be crocheting a ton, so I'm not going to have enough to sit down and film a Monday this week's makes video for you like I have been doing for the past year since we started this channel. But I do have some videos that I have been working really hard on pre-recording and pre-editing so that they're ready to upload, so that while I'm recovering, I can just upload a video and still get content out to you guys. So if you see like the next couple weeks a different kind of content from me, I mean, it's not going to be not crochet, it's all crochet stuff, but it's like pattern roundups and tips and tricks from markets, things like that. That's not my usual this week's makes. Please watch it. Do me a favor and watch it, because I would hate to have the surgery and then come out of it like as a better, stronger person and then be stuck in algorithm jail. Which brings me to my next thing that I wanted to discuss with you guys, which has to do with the Celestial Studio shed. So we put the deposit on that a few weeks ago, which I gave you guys the update about. But the project might need to go on hold. If you did not know, my husband Ryan works for Honda, and they are having an international chip shortage for cars. So since his job is building cars and they cannot get this chip part to put into the cars, the line has not been running. And so Honda is talking about shutting down operations or cutting back hours significantly. So unfortunately, that would mean that we would not be in the financial place any longer to move forward with the shed. So that's kind of all up in the air right now, but I would just hate like for him to, get his hours cut or God forbid laid off or something like that. And then also YouTube not paying me the amount of, time that I put into videos and stuff because of the algorithm. I don't want to sit here. I don't mean to like sit here and like harp and be like a woe is me story. That's not at all what it is. I'm just letting you know that I know a lot of us were really excited for the shed, and it's not to say that it's not happening. We just might have to put a pause on it until we know for certain what is happening with Ryan's job, because the last thing that we want to do is spend a couple $1,000s on this out of our savings account and then something happens and then we don't have the money. You get it. We're being adults here. So I'm trying to be pragmatic about this, and I'm trying to be financially smart. And as much as I just want to say, like, yeah, let's just put all of our savings into the shed and buy all the yarn in the world, as much as I want to do that, it's probably not a good thing to do that. So we'll see. I'll keep you guys updated on that, of course, with the shed thing. So yeah, I think that is all that I have for you. Oh, if you want to go get some of my patterns, that would help incredibly as well, because every little penny adds up. It's all going into savings for either the shed or for sustainability if Ryan can't work. So yeah. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me on this very extra long episode of this week's Makes, and my last one for a while. Oh, next Monday is going to be the market vlog. I know that you guys love the market vlogs, and you're definitely going to want to watch that one. I think it was completely unexpected how much money I made for being that little of an event. But yeah, you'll see it on Monday. Thank you all so much again. Oh, and thank you to our channel members in the Cosmic Couch Club. You guys keep this little galaxy spinning. I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.